welcome to Table Talk. We are glad that you're here with us today. And as you can see, I have a very special guest with me. We're into this kind of special guest thing here on Table Talk, talking about the week's sermon and the kind of topics that come up, a great conversation. And I have my friend John Schaffer here. And John is from the Life Choices Clinic, which is right here locally. And so John, if you could just give a little bit of what do you do? What is your position? What is the Life Choices Clinic?
Life Choices Clinic has been around since 1985. I've been there 15 of those years. We basically do two things. We are a pro-life evangelistic ministry. And by that, what we do is we help those with unplanned pregnancies. That's what most people assume we do. We are a medical clinic, and so we are able to perform pregnancy tests. We do ultrasounds, first trimester ultrasounds, testing for certain sexually transmitted diseases to help somebody who is facing an unplanned pregnancy. We have material aid for them. Our boutique has clothing and diapers and formula, maternity clothes, certain types of furniture like cribs and things like that. And we don't charge for any of our services. Everything is free.
Wow.
It's best to make an appointment, but we do handle walk-ins when they happen. The other thing that we do is we help those with post-abortion counseling. Some of our clients come to us, they have had an abortion and they're struggling. The decision came with consequences they weren't expecting. There are physical consequences. People don't realize how breast cancer increases if you've had an abortion. There are social and relational consequences. There's a lot of anger or shame or guilt that comes with it. And then there are spiritual consequences where people feel that they have just done something that God can't forgive them for. And so that we help with that healing, especially to those individuals. But those are the two things that we do. My job as an executive director, I oversee it all. I have a great staff that I'm obviously not in the ultrasound room. I have a nursing staff that takes care of that. But I oversee everything, and I'm the liaison between the community and our center. We're located in Camp Hill, right near the Capital City Mall.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah, and just, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, we had a team here group from Table Life Church that attended the Pregnancy Center banquet.
Yes.
And just really just powerful stories that were shared there. And so my thought was to bring John here to share a little bit, but also connect to our weekend message this past weekend. We talked about healing and how Jesus visited the place of Capernaum, that town, and how that was the place that was the second most significant place in his ministry outside of Jerusalem. Because of the healings that took place. And so speaking of both unexpected or unplanned pregnancy, abortion care, I thought it'd be appropriate to just talk about healing and how God is a God of redemption. God is a God of grace.
A God of second chances.
Yes, and Jesus still heals today.
Absolutely.
In many different ways.
We actually see that firsthand where
awesome.
that happens. And we have such a wide spectrum of clients. His forgiveness looks different with a lot of them. There's general categories. For example, the post-abortion, people are regretting that decision. They're struggling with the consequences of that decision. The story that jumps to mind is I was in my second floor office, and I heard wailing. I heard screeching like I've never heard before, and I went rushing downstairs to find out what was going on. And there was this young lady in our lobby, and she was crying uncontrollably. And the ladies were trying to help her get calm so they could find out what was going on. We actually looked to see if there was physical trauma, if she was bleeding anywhere. She wasn't. And they finally got her to the point where, do you ever see somebody where they're gasping, but they're getting their breath? And they finally got her to a point where she could talk. And I can still picture, we have this one counselor. I tell her she's from a Norman Rockwell painting. She's just this little grandmotherly person. I tell her to wear a white apron and put some flour on it because that would just be appropriate for her, like she's cooking. And she's helping her. And finally the girl goes, I killed my baby and I have to go to hell. And we were heartbroken to hear that, but I can still picture our advocate just putting her arm around her and said, oh, honey, have I got good news for you? And in the midst of that trauma and that anguish, we started the healing process of that nothing you did is beyond the blood of Christ. That he can forgive you, he can heal you, and he can move you forward. Doesn't mean he agrees with what you've done, but nothing is too big for him to take care of. And that started the process with her. That's somebody that has had an abortion and regretted it. And she had just had the abortion that morning. The other healing is a lot of times relational. We have girls that are coming to us and they're pregnant and the boyfriend is either saying have the abortion or I'm gone, or he's already cut out. He doesn't want anything to do with it. And they feel not only abused, they feel used, they feel abandoned.
Right.
They feel manipulated. And so it's more than just saying, okay, we can help provide you with your material needs. We have baby clothes for you. We have diapers, and that's all good. Yeah. But we sit and talk with them, and we talk with them about moving forward from this point. Making right decisions. We have a basic decision-making process that we take them through, and again, showing them that the love of Christ is bigger than anything that they've done, and his work on the cross was for them.
Yeah. So. No, absolutely. And one of the major points in the message, looking at one of the stories of healing where Jesus went and healed Peter's mother, was that Jesus cares. Sometimes I think we have this image that God is like this far off, distant God, and he has the lightning bolt ready for, yes. Oh gosh, when you mess up, when you make a mistake, when you're sinning, he's going to strike you. But just the idea, he notices and he cares. And
he's intimately involved.
Yes.
We call each of our appointments, we call them divine appointments. Because so many times we see how God works all around the circumstances outside of our view. And we find out later how it was God just working circumstances to getting the young lady to our clinic, meeting a particular advocate, not even knowing that this would be the best advocate for her. And again, they go through the process of healing over brokenheartedness, over all sorts of issues that come with an unplanned pregnancy. And God is in the midst of it. And it's obvious. Yeah. Sometimes after the fact, but sometimes
you don't see him in the work when in the middle of it.
But to give you another, I love telling stories about the center. We had a woman from Ecuador as one of our advocates, and it was her last day to work because she took summers off because of her kids being out of school, and she was our go-to person if we needed somebody who spoke Spanish. While she was manning the front desk, a client did a walk-in, came in and started speaking to her, and I happened to be there. It was real obvious it wasn't Spanish. It was a Slavic language. And this woman whose first language was Spanish, second language English, trying to talk to a woman in a Slavic and didn't know very little English. And we're thinking, how are we going to communicate here? The girl who was replacing our Spanish speaker was there shadowing that day. All of a sudden, she just started talking to this girl in the Slavic language. And we're like, what is going on? What is happening? We didn't know it. Her minor in college was Russian.
Oh my God.
We didn't know that. Wow. This was a walk-in. We didn't tell her to come in at that time, but God knew. Right. God knew. And they were able to connect because it was the right day, the right time, the right people. And again, the healing process began with that conversation, that she could talk to somebody in her own language. It was a divine appointment. God got her there at that particular time. Yeah. And she was able to work through with her. Wow. And now neither of them are there anymore, but
for that time.
But for that's my point. For that moment, it was the right person in the right time.
Wow, that's really powerful.
That was a divine appointment.
Yeah, and I think that connects to the idea that God works through people. Absolutely. God heals through people. More often in scriptures, when God is either speaking or doing something, it's through his people. It's through those types of situations, and and even in the story of Jesus and the paralyzed man, how his friends
brought him.
Yeah, his friends.
They didn't bring him. They dug out the roof and lowered him.
Yeah, we were talking. Can you imagine?
It was their faith that got him in front.
Yeah, and so you just think though about that support, to try to manage something like that by yourself, regardless of what the circumstances are around.
They didn't know they were going to lower him through the roof. They were bringing him to see Jesus.
Right.
They couldn't get there. And so they thought, okay, plan B, how do we get them in there?
Yeah.
And one of them must have had the idea, we can go from the top.
Yeah.
You know, just the fact that people put their heads together and they're tools of the Lord,
Yeah.
and He uses them.
Absolutely. So tell me, John, when have you seen that kind of like we call them stretcher bearers, people that lift up someone that cannot? How have you seen that at work?
We have seen family members and we've seen strangers bring people to us. There's an abortion clinic down on front 2nd Street, and there's people outside there praying and talking. And by the way, I've been there many times. I've never seen them be aggressive. I've always seen them, and their gentleness is the word I would use with them. But they've actually told people, hey, we know a place that'll help you, and they'll bring them to us. They'll bring them to us. We'll have girls that have gone through and been benefited by our ministry, and they'll have a friend, and they'll bring them to us. The vast majority of our people, we track this. You know, we're on social media and things like that. The vast majority of the people that come to us come through referrals, because people will tell them, here's a group that'll help you. They won't judge you. They'll love you, and they won't try to brainwash you. They will just help you where you are.
Right.
And
and to me, and that's, I think, the beauty of the Life Choices Clinic, from my understanding, is that you're not forcing anything on anyone. You're providing support, and like, I love the decision making piece. Like, I think anybody, regardless, outside of pregnancy, can really decide, to use that kind of thing. And I think that just that love to say, hey, have you explored this other option?
This flows right from our theology. We are a Christian organization. We're not a ministry. We're a Christian organization. Christ is preeminent. But we believe in the sovereignty of God, and we don't feel that we have to say something to that person the first time they walk through the door. God is bringing them. Our job is to be obedient, share the truth, and share Christ's love. And God is responsible for the results.
Right.
God is the one that's actually going to do any healing that takes place. We can be instruments, we can be tools, but our theology teaches us that God's in control, and we just need to do what He puts before us. We say we want to be sharp tools in His toolbox.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. So John, just on a closing note, what would you tell someone that say maybe has a friend, or maybe a daughter, a niece, a family member, even a son, or someone in their life that is in that place of an unplanned pregnancy? What could we do? Like, what is the best way to kind of walk someone to help to take that step?
Maybe you could share with them our motto. Our motto is: we listen, we care, we help. And if somebody finds themselves with an unplanned pregnancy, there's all sorts of side stories going on, and they may just not know what to do, or this is the wrong time. Where can I go? Maybe somebody has had an abortion and they're regretting that decision, and they don't know what to do. Will life ever be normal again? You can say, we know a group that'll listen to you, because we do. We train our staff to be active listeners, not quick to judge, not quick to talk, but listen to the story. So we listen. We really do care. One of the things I hear from our clients many, many times is, I just sensed how much you cared about me. Even though we may never have met you, we care. We listen, we care, and we help. But we will help only as far as you want to be helped. There's an old joke. How many counselors does it take to change a light bulb? Just one, but it has to want to be changed. Right? Good. We are willing to help, but we're not going to push. We ask permission to pray with you. We ask permission to do Bible studies if you want. We ask permission if we can even call you on the phone, because sometimes that's not a safe thing to do, to call somebody on the phone, because of their home situation. You don't want somebody else taking the call or anything. Yeah. So we listen, we care, we help.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Great words, I think, for all of us. And really, and you don't know how God may use you too, or maybe a family member. And I think just letting ourselves be available to be conduits of God's grace in that too. So thanks so much, John.
You're welcome.
For joining
Isn't it cool to be at a church like this, at a ministry like mine, where God uses us?
Isn't it?
It's exciting to see in hindsight what He's done.
Yeah, and also there's also volunteer opportunities if you're local. To be a part of this story, maybe that's something that God has planted in your heart.
We love Table Life and the fact that they've supported us for all 15 of my years. It's been wonderful. If there's one thing you can do for us, pray for us. Pray that the girls will have the courage to come in, because that's a hard thing. Pray for our volunteers that they will work in conjunction with God's will, that they would be sharp tools. And then you can pray for me. Help me to lead. Okay, but pray for us. That's our biggest need. That's our biggest need.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll post a link to the Life Choices Clinic, and if you want to explore their website, any questions, I'm sure John would love to
Happy to talk to you.
talk with you more about the ministry that they do. So once again, thanks for joining us for Table Talk. It's been great. We're going to continue in our series, Were You There, this coming Sunday, 11 o'clock. I hope you'll join us. We're going to go to our next step in the ministry, the places that Jesus visited. And guess where we're visiting this week?
Where?
Samaria.
Ooh,
yeah.
some good stories
Samaria.
there.
I know, there's some great stories there. So we're
Do we have
headed to
15 more
Samaria.
minutes? We could talk more about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, so stay tuned, and yeah, we hope that you guys have a great weekend. Happy St. Patrick's Day, too, because that's Thursday, I think.
Yes.
So anyway, have a great week, guys. Take care.
Bye.